Glory to God. Brother Carter, come and bless us. Praise the Lord. Yes, my Jesus.
Shall we turn to the Gospel of Matthew and
Praise
chapter
the Lord.
25.
Yes, amen.
These are parables concerning the Lord's coming. The parable of the virgins, the 5 wise and the 5 foolish, the parable of the pounds, not the pounds, the talents, and the last parable, the parable of the sheep and goats. Here we have 3 parables. The first one, it says that the virgins went out to meet the bridegroom and they all slumbered and slept, and that has perplexed a lot of people. All slumbered. The wise ones slumbered and slept, as well as the foolish ones. They all slumbered and slept. Why? Well, that's the proper thing to do, to sleep. I hope to get some tonight. There's nothing wrong in sleeping, but you must sleep prepared. You see, that was where the foolish ones made a mistake. They had the lamps but not sufficient oil. Now, before you can sleep, you have to be right with the Lord. If you're not converted, don't go to sleep tonight until you get converted. See, sleep when everything's right. They were right. They had oil in the lamps and they were ready. And all they needed was to be awakened in the morning. The bridegroom came and they went in with him to the marriage. That's parable number 1, in brief. I'm giving it to you very briefly tonight. The second parable, the parable of the talents. The one who gave to his servants, from verse 14, he went into the far country and delivered unto them his goods, and he gave unto some 5 talents, to other 2, to another 1, and told them to trade. And he that had 5 talents, he went and gained 5 more. That was good trading, wasn't it? The master thought it was. And he that had 2 talents, he made 2 more. And he that had 1 talent, he began by being discouraged. And what did he do but wrap his talent up, a napkin, and put it away. And when the master came to receive an account from the servants, and this is what happened. After a long time, verse 19, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. And the Lord said unto him, Well done. Won't that be lovely to hear that word?
Yes.
Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things.
Yes.
It's worth being faithful over a few things down here if we're going to be faithful over many things up there.
Yes.
The reward of the Lord is greater responsibility.
Glory.
If you manage your 5 talents very well, the Lord has something else for you up yonder. He also that received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. And the Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will make thee ruler over many. He said just the same to him as to the man with 5 talents. Don't be troubled if you're a 2-talent man. Beware if you're a 1-talent man. That's what we're coming to. And he that, verse 24, he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee. Listen to this. The man who did the least talked the most. So isn't it? Those that do the least have the most to say. Lord, I knew thee. The others didn't say this. That thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hadst not strawed, and I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hadst, that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money into the exchanges, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him that hath 10 talents. For every one that hath, unto every one that hath shall be given, and he should have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken even that he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So the Lord expects us to work. Can I give you a little reminiscence? Yes. That's one of the advantages of growing old. You can look back a long way. Young people are always looking forward. What they're going to do when they're 20. What they hope to accomplish by the time they're 25. What they hope to be at 30. Always, a young person looks forward. A middle-aged man looks around. But an old person looks back. And if a person says, I remember, too often, you know he's getting on in years. Well, I do remember this, that I had a church in London. 1920 I took that church. I had churches in Birmingham before that, but a church in... There were 2 ladies in the church that came every Sunday night. And I thought, I must get all my people working. So we were having a tract distribution. I said to them, would you care to take some tracts? No, thank you. No. Not just a few. No, thank you. Whatever I asked them to do, they said, no, thank you. But then I didn't go that carriage with them and say, get out. You're too lazy to take a few tracts. We don't want to. No, I didn't say that. I thought, if they'll keep coming, something will happen. And it did. They kept on coming until the atmosphere of the church, the Spirit of God moved. Those 2 ladies changed and became good workers for the Lord. I could have driven them away. I didn't. God gave me grace when they said, no, thank you. To say to myself, all right, we'll get you one of these days. And we did. You see, there was an advantage. They came to church. That was the thing. I would rather have those 2 ladies covering 2 empty seats than I'd have the empty seats. Empty seats have a way of having a stony stare. They look at you and, But they sat on them. I didn't have to. I was very pleased that they covered the... I would have liked a lot more like that, to cover the empty seats. And those 2. See, this man, he ought to have... that brings us to the exchanges, to the bankers. You ought to have put my money into the bank. You wouldn't have done anything, but the money would have increased. Yeah. And I should have received my own as usual. You see, the least thing we can do, if we will not work for the Lord, the least we can do is to put our money, our pound, in the bank. What's the bank? The bank is the church, of course. And if you come into the church, you don't do anything, but being in the church, you create a little interest. See, other people say, they've got the church full. And that interest, if you're not there, if nobody's there, people look in and say, oh, nothing doing. And they go away. There's an interest by putting the pound into the bank. Yeah. The bank, the corner bank here. Put the pound into the bank. If you won't work, don't forget to attend church. He buried it. He buried his pound, he didn't work. No. And there's a lot of people burying their talent for the Lord. They put them in a napkin and hide them. Yes, and some of the napkins are very slim. some of the people on Sunday, instead of going to church, in good and suitable weather, go swimming. They have a swimming napkin on. And others go golfing. And some do this and some go that. The water's to a foot my money. With the bank, with the exchange. There's the second parable. The Lord expects us to work, and if we will not work, we must attend church. Third parable. Parable of love. Where does that come in? Verse 31. When the Son of Man shall come in all his glory, and the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations. He shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he'll say to the king shall say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you. For I was from the foundation of the world, for I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in? So on. Then the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of these, the least of my brethren, ye have done it unto me. And then the other part, those that didn't minister. And they made the complaint, when did we see thee hungry, and so on. And he said, inasmuch as ye... Now, there are three parables here, and there are three thoughts. And the thoughts are progressive. In the first parable, we have 10 virgins, and the 5 foolish virgins were shut out. But in the next parable, the indolent servant who didn't serve his Lord, and he didn't even give the money to the exchanges, he was cast out. That's more forcible than being shut out. He was cast out. And in the third place, they were cursed out. Depart ye cursed. Third progression. In the first instance, the wise virgin went in the bridegroom. In the second instance, they were given authority. In the third instance, inherit the kingdom prepared for you. The first parable has to do with what you possess of spiritual life. Oil, the oil of the Spirit. The second is what you do for Christ. And the third is whether you have the love of Christ. And you say, well, what does the love of God mean? It means an interest in others. An interest in others. We are born selfish. It's strange, but that's the way we were born. We draw from another, from our earliest infant of necessity. And so sometimes we never seem to lose that innate selfishness. But love is an interest in others. Love suffereth long and is kind. I'll close with this little story, if you will allow it. It's called Nellie of the circus. Nellie was 22. She was born of circus people. Her father and mother were in circus. Quite young in life, she wanted to be a lion tamer, of all things. And the parents said, well, if that's what you want to be, that's what you can be, if you can tame a lion. And she did quite well. And when she was 22, there was an advertisement for a lion tamer. She applied and got it. The circus had lost their lion tamer. A man named Mr. Rawson had been killed by a lion, and his wife said, sir, I'll carry on the show. Well, said the circus manager, it's a little dangerous just to have one. Supposing something happened in the big cage, we've got to have another one. We must have two. And so we engaged Nellie. And Mrs. Dawson, when she heard that Nellie had been engaged, looked at her, said, you come to help me? Me? You. She said, you couldn't train a kitten, let alone these big cats. A girl with blue eyes, 22 years. She said, Nellie said she was a Christian girl. She said, would you help me? Help you, said Mrs. Lawson. Sad that she's lost her husband. Got a girl now to help her. Said, help you? No. All I should do is to sit outside when you're showing. When you're performing with the beast, I sit outside. And if a lion gets you under his paw and begins to devour you, I sit there and laugh until it's all gone. And that won't be long. There's not much of you. You would just make a meal for a lion about it. And then he didn't like that. That wasn't the love of God. Mrs. Lawson was old enough to be her mother. She didn't expect her to say that to her. But Nellie said, if she won't tell me what I'm to do, won't give me any hint, I'll watch her. I'll go outside when she's performing with the animals, I'll watch her. And I'll take my gun with me. Those animals. They can be trained, but they can't be tamed. The great lion and the tiger. You can train them, but you can't tame them. You've got to watch them as long as they live. And she sat outside to watch Mrs. Lawson. And she always they all carry a revolver. It has 3 blank shots and it has 3 live ones. 3 that will just do nothing but make a blast, and the other 3 that will kill. She said, I carry my gun. You never know what will happen. That was a good word. You don't know with those animals, you don't know what might happen. She sat outside. One day she's startled. A lion that should have been on its pedestal was creeping at the back of Mrs. Lawson. Danger, that's the worst thing possible. You've got to kind of keep your eye on that creature that hasn't obeyed, and keep your eye on all the rest. It's little wonder the Lord given us 2 eyes. You need 4 though with these creatures. And Mrs. Lawson knew the danger she was in. She tried her best to keep that cat at the back, in the corner of her eye, but that cat was too quick. One great leap, and down went Mrs. Lawson, and the paw of the lion was on her. Alice got up and ran for the double cage, and the man guarding it, the entrance, 2 doors, double door, said, let me in quick. Keep out. Let me into this cage quick. What do you mean? Let me in. And she gave him a knock in the ribs to liven him up a little. The moments were valuable. And he said, with a growl, he said, I'll not be responsible for anything that happens. And in went Nellie to face that lion. The first thing she must do is to get rid of the others. She gives them the clue to go into the chute back to their cages. So the man there guarding the door, they go. She's faced now a great lion. His paw on the body of Mrs. Lawson. And she comes up and gets her gun and fires the blank shot into his face. Smoke, fire, noise, but the creature didn't move. That was a bad sign. He didn't take his paw off the body. She came near. Danger, here danger. But one spring, and a lion can spring very quickly. For a little distance, it can go to terrific speed. They've timed them. And she goes nearer and fires another. and the thing doesn't move. What is she going to do? You got to do something. Got to get that body. She fired the third shot. It's blank. Smoke, fire, noise. The creature's still there. Angry, getting angrier all the time. Just waiting with eyes glued upon Nellie, thinking when will it spring. And the manager of the circus came out and looked. He didn't want anyone else to die in that cage. The man had died. There's his wife under the lion's paw. There's Nellie. Nellie, be careful. It's all right to talk to anybody who's facing a lion. Be careful. Nellie knew what she got now are 3 live bullets in her to kill it. But Nellie had been brought up properly. She knew the value of a trained animal. And the last thing you do is to kill them. You save them if you can. No, she didn't want to kill it. But what could she do? If that lion springs at her, what chance is there for her? Who can step into that cage? No. It's her life now in danger. And the paw of the lion is still on the back of Mrs. Lawson. Kill it, said the manager in concern. Kill it. She fires. It's a live shot this time, and the animal is mad with fury. You can see it rounding and its eyes flashing. Any moment it might spring down. Manager, careful, Nellie, careful. Keep cool. Keep cool. He's talking to a girl 22. Keep cool. He shot it again, got it in the head this time, and it gave a terrific roar and leapt until it reached the netting over the top of the big cage and came down with its feet whirling like a windmill and its claws out, going all the way to those claws can tear the flesh from the bone as if the flesh was butter. She knew, and if she had not moved quickly, the creature would have been on top of her. Nellie, take a good aim. She's only got 1 bullet. There's 1 bullet between, and she says a little prayer. Nellie was a Christian girl. Oh God. Got 1 bullet. If she only wounds the creature, she's in for it. There'll be 2 dead in that cage in a few moments. She takes a careful aim, and God helped her. She aimed for the lion's heart. She got it, because the lion only gave half a growl. And he gave a growl, and he rolled over and was dead. The men came in to pick up Mrs. Lawson, and at that moment, Nellie went out, a dead fate. She doesn't remember anything from that moment. And they picked up Nellie too, and took them both to the hospital tent. The surgeon looked at Nellie, faint. I'll attend to her in a minute. Mrs. Lawson, right. I must get busy with her, save her life if I can. She's lost a lot of blood. Before Nellie came to consciousness, Mrs. Lawson came and said to a man, "Who's that in the next bed?" "That young lady saved your life." "That kid?" "Yes." "Saved me?" "Yes." "You wouldn't be here if it were not for that lady." "Saved me?" "Yes." "You owe your life to her." "What did she do?" "When you were under the paw of the lion, she emptied her revolver on that lion. And if she hadn't, you would have been dead. She saved my life." "Yes, lady." "When she comes to consciousness, would you push my bed near to her? They were not far apart anyhow. And would you hold it up a little? I've got to kiss that angel." "I will. I must." She changed it. Mrs. Lawson had held Nellie in contempt. But now Nellie had done what the love of God suffered long and was kind. In spite of all that Mrs. Lawson had said, that she would watch a lion devour Nellie and laugh till her side was sore. Nellie didn't laugh. Nellie, at the risk of her own life, dashed into that cage and saved that woman. That's the love of God. And the love of God goes out to others. We're born selfish. That is, our interests must be met. We want what we want, and we must get it somehow. But those who have the love of God are thinking about others. It's always others. I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. And so, we've got to learn from these parables that the first requisite is to have something in the life before we sleep. The 5 foolish had nothing. Their lamps were going out and they were waiting, but the 5 wise had gone to sleep like the others. Yes, it's quite right to go to sleep. But don't go to sleep until you've got oil in your head. And as regards work, don't be afraid to work for the Lord. If you don't, the wise, the foolish version were shut out. But the man that wouldn't work was thrown out. Those that hadn't the love of God in their hearts were cursed out. Depart ye, cursed into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. The Lord help us to fulfill those 3 parables which have come together with a thought in each concerning the Lord's coming again. God bless you.